Marcus, as a play caller, what's that target number for yards per play that you would aim for? That's within reason.
That's a good play. Or it's between 4 and 6. I don't know what. I honestly don't even know what leads the country in yards per play. What would be a top yards per play?
You guys are at 5.5 right now. That's why I asked.
Yeah, it's a great question. You stopped me. I don't want to lie to you. I don't know what's leading the country, but I want it to be a little bit more than what it is now, for sure.
Day by day, we get better and better. We get better and better. So we can't beat beat. So we can't beat beat. Won't beat beat. Won't beat beat.
Tough clip to watch there. Tough clip. Well, welcome into Day by Day. I'm with Andrew. I am James. As always, you can find us on characterchronicles.com, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to the show. Helps more people find us. Give us a rating, give us a review.
I got to say one thing about that clip. I feel like it's inevitable. You're going to hear a Schick and Nick drop 4-6. The 4-6. I don't know. 4-6. Like in my mind, I've got how many alcoholic drinks did you have in the fourth quarter?
Between 4 and 6.
4-6. Like
I don't know. Like 4. I don't even know what would lead the country.
Yeah.
Like 4-6.
How many hamburgers did you have yesterday?
Between 4 and 6.
It'll be the new what's that? 440 some days, something like that.
See, it's like 633 days. Oh my gosh. I saw it at some point in the afternoon. I didn't see it live, and it threw me not into a rage. I don't get ragey with football. I sometimes keep my emotions under control, but that one, it threw me for a loop.
Yeah, maybe he's feeling the pressure. I mean, the kind of the narrative around had a couple high profile programs lose their OCs this week.
Yeah.
Not that, I know fans have been clamoring for it.
No.
But not that there's been any conversation inside, but probably stepped up there a little bit nervous.
Yeah, I probably did. First time facing the media since, your offense just got obliterated by a decent to good Indiana defense. But like here's where I struggle watching that. Really just the end. The rest of the press conference was just whatever. I'll start with when he said, I really have to start making, get it in my mindset that we need to run the ball in the Big Ten. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like there has to be a disconnect between what Matt Rule talks about and what Satterfield calls. And it makes me wonder, Rule, are you just saying things and then not demanding that Satterfield do the things you're asking? Does Satterfield do whatever he wants? What is happening?
Yeah. Because
Matt Rule talks about being physical, delivering body blows, running for 75 yards in the fourth quarter. And here, I think the first 7 out of 8 plays were passing plays, right?
Yeah.
Against Indiana.
And short yardage. A lot of bubble screens, a lot of stuff to the outside. So
that was confusing. But then the 4 to 6 yards. That would rank. So 4 yards would rank almost dead last in the country. And I have it pulled up here. So Kennesaw State and Stanford are at 3.7 and 3.8 respectively. And then you get to Oklahoma at 4.1, who just fired their offensive coordinator. Nebraska's at 5.5, which is not horrible. It's in the 70s ish.
That number which Marcus Satterfield did not know.
No, actually, we're at 5. I think the reporter who said that misspoke because I thought he said 5.5. We're at 5, so that's 95th in the country, which is not great. And Satterfield didn't know that. So if you want to be top 10, Clemson is at 10 at 7 yards per play, and you get all the way up to number 1 with Miami at 7.9.
Hmm.
So I know we've talked about the traditional metrics of averages, like, yards per play, yards per game. Go back to our interview with Eric, like those traditional metrics maybe don't matter all that much. So in a way, like, okay, maybe yards per play doesn't matter. But here's my beef with Satterfield. You came to your one time with the press during the week, and they asked you a question that really they set on a tee for you, and you had no idea what to say. You didn't, like you said, you didn't even know where you're at in yards per play. You didn't even have a goal.
Yeah.
What kind of a goals do you have? So I'm thinking back like to my job. Like I work for a nonprofit. I have meetings with our board and our CEO all the time. And if I came and didn't have data to present and goals to hit, I would be out of a job really quickly if that happened on any kind of a regular basis. So I just can't believe from a professional standpoint, and I can't believe I'm saying this right now, but that he came to a press conference, was totally unprepared, and really looked like he had no idea what he's doing in his job. Now the rest of the offense makes sense, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's clear there isn't a real clear identity on the offense. Now you're seeing where maybe some of that comes from. I think another concerning quote he said was, I have to develop trust myself, he said. And that was, I think, talking about the run game, was I have to develop trust myself. Like trust, I think, in the plays they're calling, trust in the players to execute them. That's a concern too, 8 games in. So 7 games in.
Yeah, and it's like, he even not just Rule, like Satterfield talks about being a physical downhill running team.
Mm.
Okay, well, we had a nice, decent downhill run with Harburg to set us up on a third and 2, 3rd and 1, and then I think we threw an incomplete pass, or maybe I don't remember the exact sequence. What I remember is, okay, you did something that worked. Indiana couldn't stop it. And then the next play you went away from. Just run Harburg again. Get the yard or 2 yards or whatever you need. And so, yeah, you see that. And again, I have not been a Satterfield. I have not called for him to be fired. I still won't do that in the middle of the season. I refuse to do that. But I'm also not a Satterfield apologist where I'm going to defend. I've tried. I've kind of been in wait and see mode. But after Saturday and then the press conference today, I'm like, I think I've seen everything I need to see and hear.
Yeah. I made a note, word salad. I heard a lot of, just kind of, where are our eyes, and we need to be more disciplined, and timing and footwork and
coach speak.
Yeah, that's kind of how it felt. And it's like, I don't know. It's a tough situation to be in too. I don't know if anything you can get up there and say is going to make us as the fan base feel better, but
it wasn't that.
Get up there and seem competent and self-reflective.
I mean, yeah, it's not that hard. Like these kind of statistics are public knowledge, right? Like you could find them in 5 seconds. It would have been something. It wouldn't have been something if he had just looked at the reporter and said, yeah, we're around 5 yards of play. Man, I'd really like to be, top 25, top 15 and be about 6.5, 7 yards of play. Miami's number 1 at 7.9. Like I assumed coaches knew those kind of statistics because that's all you do. Like we know those statistics, and like this isn't our full-time job. like, hey, but this is all you do.
This guy, I think he knew.
I bet he did know.
I'll bet you Chip Kelly knows what his numbers are.
I bet you Chip Kelly knows. Yeah, like this is all you do. You're paid handsomely to know it. Now I get it. They have statisticians and analysts on the team, but my goodness, would somebody please prep our coaches before they go into a press conference with basic stuff? Hey, I think they're going to ask you about A, B, C, X, Y, Z. Okay. Like like you said, Satterfield's not the greatest behind the mic. I get that. But man, he was totally caught off guard. And it just felt unprofessional to me. And I think that was the biggest bummer.
Yeah.
Was how unprofessional it looked.
Especially
it's uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when you know you're kind of going to be the target getting up there this week. That's tough. That's the fishbowl that they're in. But it's also why you get paid. What's he make? $1 million? 1.2
million and a half. I think $1.5 million.
Woo.
A lot. And like, he's probably feeling the pressure. I know he's worked with Glenn Thomas before, but Glenn Thomas is the co-offensive coordinator.
Mm.
And it would seem to me at any point, Rule could just pull the plug and say, Glenn, playbook's yours.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to do that. And I know that Rule is so close to Satterfield. I mean, they're friends. It always makes you question, should coaches hire their friends? I get like you hire people you know and you trust. I get that. Every coach in the world has done that, maybe except for Nick Saban, which is probably why he's, the best college coach ever. But at what point can you look at your friend in the face and say, this isn't working out and I'm letting you go?
And Rule,
we're not there yet. We got 5 games left, but in a month and a week, the season's going to be over.
Yeah.
And Rule's going to have a decision to make.
Let's talk about his presser a little. I don't know if you saw that yesterday.
I did see some of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, nothing glaring. I'm not going to rake him over the coals for anything, but he continued to take responsibility and apologize. And that, so I think to your point, Rule's going to stick by his guys, whether I don't think that means like not fire him if they need fired, but he's at least in season. I think he's going to own it.
For sure.
Just like he would with the players, because a lot of his coaches are young and he sees himself, he's kind of that mentor coach. He coaches the coaches.
Yeah.
I think he sees a lot of his coaches somewhat as equals with the players. So,
now let's kind of double click on that, because I've seen a lot of stuff lately online from fans who are like, hey, players come first. Like this university, this program is not about the coaches; it's about the players. So if you don't have the right coaches, find the right coaches who can coach the players. What do you think of that idea that like, okay, you coach the coaches? I get that position coaches, they have their guys. But I mean, let's be honest, like Garrett McGuire is coaching for his job.
Yeah.
I would say EJ Barthel is coaching for his job. Satterfield is coaching for his job. Ed Foley's coaching for his job.
Yeah.
Like that, but that's me, and football is a results-based business.
Mm-hmm.
I love being process oriented, but also if the process doesn't get you the results you want, eventually you have to ask, is our process not working? Do we have a process problem, or do we have a people problem, or do we have like a perspective problem to do 3 Ps? Perspective would probably be like a system. Is our system wrong? Are we seeing things incorrectly? Or is it people? Or is it the process? Everything from the way we eat to the way we wake up to the way we practice, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The language we use, the mantras, the motivation. So what do you think of that idea of coaches coaching, the coach coaching coaches, and he's like a mentor to young coaches?
I think that's the way it is. Yeah. I mean, Rule's just he's so ingrained into everything that goes on. Though, I have a hard time believing he's kind of sitting back like, man, what is Marcus doing? Because I think he's probably on him. I mean, in game, during those decisions. So, I
mean, here's the reality. We don't see, like, I think there's sometimes fans fall into this trap. I know I do, where we think if we didn't hear it at a press conference or it's not on Chasing 3, then Rule didn't say it.
Yeah.
I don't want to know what it's like when the doors are closed and the camera's off.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine those aren't kumbaya conversations.
No. Because I do believe Rule wants this to work, like you said, for the sake of the players, for the sake of the state. It'll be a fascinating theater if it happens, because what do you have under Scott Frost? It was a guy that was loyal to a fault to his friends.
Yep.
Before that, you had a coach that had an AD and a chancellor pulling all the strings and telling him who to fire and who to hire. So yeah, it's what's Troy Dannon's philosophy? What's his relationship with Rule as far as autonomy and those things? So it'll be interesting.
That's interesting because you think of Trev's relationship with Frost, and Trev was like, I'm not going to tell a coach who to hire or fire in terms of assistants.
Mm-hmm.
I want to believe that I want to believe them, but I mean, I don't know. We thought we knew who he was. But yeah, some ADs might say, if they have a weekly one-on-one or whatever they do, however often they get together with their coaches, like, how do you think things are going? Like, can I give you some suggestions? Or, the AD can still say, like, I'm your boss, and here's what I think. Of course, I don't know much about Troy Dannon. I don't know if he has a football background, a basketball background, track and field. I don't know what he did or played. So I don't know his expertise level. But yeah, you kind of have to wonder, what are those conversations like? Because I'm sure they talk during the year.
Yeah, evaluation's ongoing, but
yep.
We got to see. I think we got to see if the results rear their head. Hopefully they will. This week's not the week for a bounce back. So fans, we're going to have to be patient and just take what we get this week.
But Kool-Aid moment. What if we won?
Oh,
what if we win?
Pay him.
Okay. Here's the question. Okay. So Vanderbilt beats Alabama. Now Vanderbilt's got a good team. Speaking of Vanderbilt,
ranked,
right? Yards per play, not super great, but better than Nebraska's. At 62nd in the country, Vanderbilt's 5.5 yards a play. Northern Illinois beats Notre Dame, right? It happens. It doesn't seem like it ever happens to us, and it hasn't in a long time. But what if? So here's my question. If Nebraska won, does it erase Saturday, this past Saturday? What do you think of the coaching staff? What do you make of this season if they win on Saturday?
I think just like I want to see a pattern from Saturday. If we win this week, I want to see a pattern of that. So I'm not going to be that reactionary. I think last week shouldn't have happened. It's disappointing. It shouldn't have happened on that stage, coming off a bye. Yes, that team's a heck of a lot better than anybody expected, but we didn't show up, and it's clear in a lot of ways. Just like this week, I want to see what happens following. So I'm gonna wait probably for my overall major assessment after till after the season. So
if they win, they go bowling, and like I said in our last episode, we go streaking in the quad. So
yep, I'm flying.
You're flying in.
Yep.
Now, what if there's a repetition of what happened last week? What if it's another 50-7 type game? Do you think the team is lost? Do you think the season's lost? Do you think the locker room's lost? I mean, we don't know. We're not in there, but just what's your gut?
My gut says you have to pump the brakes because it's Ohio State. You have to see then, okay, come home, play UCLA at home. Does this continue? I mean, it's going to be getting there, but I don't know if it's wave the white flag yet.
I agree. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk then. Biggest problem for the Huskers so far, or maybe just at this point in the season, why they've lost 2 other last 3. Is that right? No, 2 other last 4. 5-3, same place they were last year. Absolute debacle. I thought it was effort and heart, because that's kind of what I saw at the end of the Illinois game. But then you kind of find out, okay, well, Dylan maybe may have a bum ankle, and so maybe he's ineffective because of that. So maybe there's some injuries. Obviously, the offensive line has injuries. Obviously, at Indiana, I thought it was effort and heart. But then I see the Satterfield interview, and I'm like, my goodness, there's no organization.
Yeah,
There's no like, I don't want to say this in like a personal way to Marcus Satterfield. I'm sure he's a great guy, but in terms of coaching, like, is there an adult in the room who knows the stats, who knows the goals, who has the strategy in place, who can make things simple for college athletes who, again, are not professional athletes. They're not giving as much time as an NFL player is, and they have an NFL offense. Okay, well, that might still be too complicated. There's not many college teams that run an NFL offense for a specific reason.
With a true freshman.
With a true freshman quarterback, as smart as he is. So, I kind of lean toward, the effort and the heart might not be there, but also I think there is some significant discombobulation on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I lean. Where do you lean for kind of what's this team's biggest problem 8 games in?
Yeah. Dare I say the mindset thing? Rule brought it up, and I've been kind of battling with, okay, how do I feel about this? Because we've always scoffed when a coach says, well, this is still left over from the previous, but Rule said there's a mindset of here we go. Here we go. And he said that predates them.
And the crazy thing is, Andrew, like when Frost started saying that, we ate it up. We were like, yeah, because we wanted Riley to be the bad guy. Yeah.
Yep. So, I mean, I think it's that with confidence, with the messaging, with lack of identity. I believe everything Rule says about, well, we didn't see this coming. They're practicing hard. They're doing.
Sure.
Yeah, they're going to do all those things. But it's not equating to success on the field. So, yeah, I don't know. Lack of cohesion, amongst the coaches too, possibly. I think I don't know if you call it an experiment or what, but the 2 offensive coordinators, I mean, maybe that's been an issue.
Sure. So, who knows? Well, we had that 2 years ago, and we know how that went.
Yeah.
Essentially was Frost and Whipple.
Yeah.
And I think Whipple at some point was just like, screw it, I'm going to do what I want. And then Frost got fired, and the rest of the year was just throw it to Trey. He's down there.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well,
so I had a question. Maybe this answers that, or I'll ask you, what would you see on Saturday that makes you feel better about the season overall? What do you hope to see? Or, well, not even a hope, but you'll see this and it's going to make you feel better.
Yeah. I'd like to see 1 3-and-out for Ohio State. Just 1. I would like to see Nebraska on offense do some things and then execute some things that Ohio State did not see coming. Mm-hmm. To me, it doesn't even matter if they're successful, but can you call them and execute them? Maybe, again, not to perfection. It's not like, it's going to go for an 80-yard touchdown, but can you do some things that Ohio State is not ready for? A few years back, Ohio State came here and we kind of did that flex bone option. Yep. Right? And we drove down the field. I think there was a fumble on that drive, if I'm not mistaken. Probably. So we didn't score a touchdown. But we had called the plays and executed them, and Ohio State wasn't ready for it. We had them on their heels. Kind of wish we would have done that the whole game. So because Satterfield's in the spotlight right now, my thought is you have to game plan and scheme in a way that you can either score points on Ohio State or slow this game down so much, a la Bill Callahan versus USC back in, was that 2007 or 8?
Yeah, 7, I believe.
So that you don't get the brakes beaten off of you. And so that's what I'd like to see. But overall, with those 2 things, offense and defense, I just want to see him play hard. I want to see him not give up and lay down. You give up a touchdown, who cares? It's a long game.
Yeah.
Play hard. And you'll know that's the thing about sports, right? We talked about it last time in our reaction. You can look at a team that you've been watching for 30 plus 40 years and go, they're playing hard today. They're giving it their all. And at the end of the day, if they come up short, which they probably will, because they're less talented, that's okay. You shake their hand and you say good game. But I think we'll know if they came to play or not.
Yeah. Yeah, I said I want to see Dylan bounce back and make special downfield plays. I just want to I want to feel the special again from Dylan.
Yeah.
It's a stage that there's a little bit of an interesting backstory, him being a former commit there, knowing a lot of players on their team. What kind of chip does he show? What kind of chip on his shoulder does he go in with? No pun intended, Chip Kelly.
By the way, I would love to have Chip Kelly as an offensive coordinator.
Oh, yeah.
The way they run the ball, people might, I don't know. Scott Frost would make an incredible offensive coordinator.
That's why
he's not a good organizer, right? Head person, CEO. That's not his gig. I think we figured that out. But man, the guy can call plays, and he did it at Oregon. I'm not saying he's coming back here, of course, but.
Yeah. So then I had just Dylan give us hope for the future again. Like, let's not that it's all lost, not that we've lost faith in Dylan, but amidst all this negativity, it's easy to kind of lose sight of, like, look at this talent that we have at quarterback. Look at what the future could be. So I kind of want to, revive that. And then I think improve run game. I mean, we need to get a back in there that's going to fight for yards and find the right mix of linemen that are going to push, and receivers that aren't going to hold, block in the back, or completely whiff.
I mean, again, Husker coaching staff, you're not listening to this podcast, but if you happen to, Emmett Johnson is your best running back. He has the best vision. He makes guys miss. I know that everybody played bad. I believe in sports groupthink, and last week was a classic case of groupthink where everybody played, thought, acted like each other. And everybody played bad. There was not one person that had a good game. So let's throw out Indiana. Emmett Johnson is your best back. Play him. Do you notice this, Andrew? Like, when he actually comes into the game, they feature him.
Yeah.
He'll handoff, screen, hit him in the flat. Like, they run and throw the ball to Emmett when he comes into the game.
Yeah. He's your kind of your big yardage threat at that. And
then he's out 6 plays later, and then you don't see him for another quarter. So I would like to see a consistent running game for sure.
So I made a point to counter that question was what would compound the concerns. And I said, like you said, we want to see, can they outcoach, not the entire game, but can our coaches outcoach and out-scheme the other coaches? I'm going to say there's going to be a magnifying glass on the play calling. We're going to be tweeting about it. Hey, get creative. Why can't they do this? Why can't they do that? Are there adjustments? And then I'm looking for attitude, hanging heads, conflict on the sidelines between players. And do the coaches appear to know what they're doing?
It's what's crazy is you go back to the Rutgers game, and you had Greg Schiano, who's a good coach and known for kind of getting the most out of his guys. Matt Rule outcoached Greg Schiano.
Oh yeah.
By what he did with the coin flip and the wind. We had the punt blocked, 2 punts blocked, but then the fake punt. Rutgers was gashing us, and we adjusted defensively, and like that was a game that showed, okay, Matt Rule, like, you can do it. You can outcoach a Big Ten coach.
Yeah.
Now you got to do it against essentially the best of the best. You have to do it.
Tony White typically outcoaches. Outcoaches, out-schemes.
Typically does.
Play. Didn't happen this week for some
reason. He had some interesting comments today, which we didn't even talk about. Where he even said, I feel like I did some really dumb things.
Yeah. And
maybe he overthought it. And man, I tell you what, whether it's sports or life, keep it simple.
Yeah.
Like, usually when you keep things simple, things go better. So don't get too complicated. Don't get too big for your britches. Don't overthink and think, well, they're going to do this, and they're going to think that we're going to do this, but then they're going to think that we're going to know that they're going to do, like, don't do that.
Yep.
Play your game, play hard, play fast. because that's an interesting thing to me that he said that, because the players know what he's doing. They're having those conversations. He's not keeping them in the dark. And so what I think would happen if I'm a player is now I can't play loose and fast and free because I maybe we're doing something a little bit different. So I'm kind of second guessing myself. Am I where I should be? Am I hitting the right gap? Am I providing help this way? And then all of a sudden, what you notice is I'm getting spun around in the defensive backfield because I don't really know where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, and then
like
those compound. Yeah,
I mean, you saw things happen that had not happened at all, not even in the Illinois game against Indiana. So that was really curious to me that he said that, or interesting to me that he said that.
I like one thing that gives me hope, and back to your point about keeping it simple. Rule said, I really like the message he said. He goes, you tell your guys you want to be NFL players. You are NFL players. Some of you. You're playing against a team of NFL players. He goes, you're going to play each other in the NFL. He goes, just go out and play them. Like, and don't get caught up in, all that. The stars. I mean, you all have the potential to be equals at some point on the same team, competing against each other at a higher level. Why not go out and do it right now? So
100%. All right. Well, do you have any predictions for this week? Do you even feel like throwing a prediction out there?
Yeah. I got some odd ones.
Okay, let's see. Oddly specific predictions for Ohio State.
Ohio State will have a running into the kicker call in the second half, resulting in a Husker first down. I think they're coming after us. I think
special teams gap. You think that's going to happen in the second half, though?
Yes, but it's not a gaffe because they're going to run into us and it'll be a penalty.
Okay.
They're gonna overdo it. And then I have Matt Rule incurring his third personal foul penalty of the year towards the Jets in the third quarter.
Will he show them the iPad again?
I don't know. I think we might throw something this time. Maybe the Bo Pelini hat swipe or something. So,
okay, great. Well, I have an oddly specific prediction, and it comes from someplace. It actually comes from my doubt of our offense and our offensive coordinator. I think we will actually have a 76-yard touchdown pass because of a broken, like Ohio State will have a breakdown in communication. So I really don't see us driving the ball with consistency and then scoring in the red zone. We haven't done it all year. I don't know why we would do it against Ohio State, but I do think there'll be at least one breakdown. I'll just say it'll be a 76-yard pass to Jalen Lloyd because he's probably the only one I trust at this point.
It's coming on a little.
He is. I think he had 2 catches a couple of games ago, which is the first time ever he had 2 catches. I might be wrong on that.
He had a couple in the Indiana game. Yeah.
I think it might have been Saturday. So 76 yards because of a Ohio State defensive breakdown. So that's my oddly specific prediction. All right, you got a game prediction score?
All right, so I'm usually an optimist. I don't have us winning, but I gotta project what I'd like to see out there. So Ohio State 30, Nebraska 21.
Whoa!
So 9-point game. It's actually not going to be as close as the score appears. I think most of the game you're going to feel like Ohio State has it.
They're in control. Yeah.
But whatever happens there at the end, maybe we get some cheap points. But I do think 30-21, more fight. It's going to be a closer game, but we're gonna walk away feeling a little bit better about it.
Okay. I wish I could say it's going to be that close. I think that Nebraska has the potential to keep it close for a half. I feel like Ohio State plays one of 2 ways typically. They either beat the brakes off someone and the game's over, or they kind of dilly-dally around until the middle of the third quarter and fourth quarter and then kind of pull away. And I think this will be one of those games. I don't know what Ryan Day's record is after bye weeks. I didn't even take the time to look it up. But I've been hearing a lot, Ohio State's going to be so angry. And, well, okay, maybe if the game was last week, but you can't like just a human, not football players. Like you can't carry that anger on for so long.
Right.
They've had 2 weeks off. They're not angry. they could be very focused.
Yeah.
But you're not carrying over that anger from the Ohio State game. So I'm not super worried about that. I think Nebraska will keep it close. I think maybe you could see something like 14-21 at halftime. I think Nebraska might kick a field goal. I'm going to say they will. And I think Ohio State will pull away in the third and fourth quarter. So I'm going to say Ohio State 41, Nebraska 17.
Okay.
Which, to be honest, it's not the end of the world if it's 41-17, especially if it is like, I'm thinking mid third quarter, you're looking at like a maybe 24, 31, 17 kind of score.
Yeah.
And then maybe they add, another 10 points in the fourth. So,
and maybe an individual performance in that makes you feel better. Maybe it's Dylan, maybe it's a Carter Nelson comes on and you're like, okay, we found something. Let's find something for the rest of the season. So
speaking of Carter, I mean, we didn't talk about the young guys. At some point you have to start asking the question, when do most of the young guys get to play? Significantly, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Malachi's seems to be redshirting. I think he played in the game, still got 3 to burn plus the bowl game, if we get to a bowl game. So Carter Nelson, a lot of the offensive linemen, it's not like our offensive line is, world beaters. So can we rotate in some guys who need some, need to develop a little bit, but we'll get to that another time. So,
hey, I've got one more. I got to bring my special guest on again. Shiny. There we go.
Shiny. There we go.
Oh, I got a question for you all watching.
Hold on. Is that a book that you've never opened?
I've never opened.
I think I've read that book. I think it was I don't know how I've read it.
A very kind former coworker of mine, if she ever checks this out, found this for me.
Love it.
I didn't open it because he just got fired. But I'm hanging on to it. But my question in the chat or in the comments are, what do you do with it? What do I do with it? It's not a coffee table book. Like, do I open it and look through it? Like, I have an autographed picture of Frost, and I'm going to hang on to that because it was of him playing. But
sure, it's a good book. I mean, I don't know if it was at the library or how. We don't own the book, but I remember reading it to my boys. I don't remember how I've seen it. We have 3 footballs downstairs in a dresser in a drawer, autographed by him. We met Frost at the fan day a few years ago. Super nice. Asked me what I did, told me he appreciated what I did for a profession since I work in, child welfare and human services. And he was super nice, very engaging. But we don't really have use for those balls right now. It's not like we're going to, put them up on the wall or something. So if anybody wants a Scott Frost autographed football, I can hook you up. I got you.
Maybe I go with like the Hall of Fame rule, like give it 5 years, then we can open it up and reminisce a little bit. But
maybe as time goes on,
we're still healing.
Our memories will heal. So, well, all right, we'll cut it there. Thanks everybody for tuning in and for watching. This has probably been our most honest, raw episode yet. Even more so than the Indiana reaction, which I feel like we mostly just stared at each other with breathing deeply, trying to figure out what happened. So, thanks for tuning in. Andrew, enjoy the game, and we'll see you afterwards.
Sounds great.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Bread.